Erev Tov Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live, and it is a very sad day today for the freedom of speech. One of our most prized amendments of the U.S. Constitution has died today here on April the 11th, 2019. And of course, this is what we have titled our broadcast this evening, April 11th, 2019, the day that freedom of speech has died. And I say that comes on the heels of the arrest of Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, or co-founder of WikiLeaks. He was arrested in the Ecuadorian embassy on bogus charges by the British, and of course violating the very United Nations that allow for a individual to take refuge or claim asylum by another country. And of course the Ecuadorian embassy has violated those very rights of this man in turning him over, allowing the British to come in and seize him, all in the name of big money for Ecuador if the United States can just get its little grubby hands on Julian Assange. After all, the United States does not consider Julian Assange a free speech activist or a true journalist. They consider him espionage, a spy, or whatever else you might have it. Because why this man was able to find out information and expose the lies and corruption in the U.S. government, and I can only imagine how much more that they actually had at their disposal. And will that information be dumped on the internet in order for people to see? Will the other crimes that the U.S. government has done, like that crimes of the sarin gas being delivered at the hands of Hillary Clinton, then Secretary of State, into the hands of the Turkish government, Erdogan, to be used on the Syrian people? How much more will we find out about the WikiLeaks and what the information was that they were able to obtain? Again, they were a journalistic organization, and how many other journalistic organizations have sources that reveal information, that get this information to be able to share to the world? But no, that freedom of speech is going by the wayside, and you can count on it in the future. The voices will be silenced all across the world. We will go to a totalitarian dictatorship, much like we see the European Union doing already, in the United States as well. So it was a day that indeed freedom of speech has come to an end in the United States. U.S. charges Assange with helping Chelsea Manning break into classified computers. That's what's being revealed as of right now, according to the Sputnik news source here. So the founder, Assange, was arrested in London as Ecuador withdraws political asylum. The UK police confirm having arrested Assange due to an extradition request from the US over the publication of the country's secret documents. Speaking at UK's Westminster Magistrate Court after his arrest, Assange lawyers stated that the WikiLeaks founder had reasonable excuse for breaking UK bail, but added that Assange will not be presenting evidence for that. The judge presiding before the court commented on that by stating that the inference may be drawn against Assange if he fails to present evidence. Now, I think one of the reasons why Assange is doing this at his attorney's request is to try to give his attorneys a chance to be able to stop the extradition to the United States. If they were to lift that bail, then the U.S. may try to even kidnap this man and bring him back to the United States, because his safety would certainly be in question, especially with the Ecuadorian embassy just handing him over like, oh, no big deal. We'll just drop that asylum we were giving you and hand you over. I don't know, maybe it's some sigh of relief for Assange as well, just to get out of the embassy where he's been held up for all this time. I mean, he's basically been in prison for all those years now, and I think, if anything, they should consider it time served. Here's a very interesting note, though. You would think that President Trump would be his greatest ally at this point, but not so. Let's listen in to this from BBC. Something they put together about Trump when he's being asked about Julian Assange, and of course his cheerleading days when he was running for president. Sounds just like a politician, if you ask me.
Do you still hold WikiLeaks? I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
WikiLeaks is not his thing. He says, I know nothing about WikiLeaks. He was answering that after Julian Assange had been arrested. But let's go back in time.
WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks.
This WikiLeaks is unbelievable.
You said you loved WikiLeaks at another campaign press conference.
WikiLeaks has done a job on her, hasn't it?
The more emails WikiLeaks releases, the more lines between the Clinton Foundation, the Secretary of State's office, and the Clintons' personal finances.
Now we learned out through WikiLeaks that Hillary Clinton was paying the protesters $1,500 each to be violent at our rallies. And through WikiLeaks today, it's just been shown that this is, as I've been saying, a rigged system with more collusion, possibly illegal. I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
Now, in my opinion that's a disgrace for a president to sit there and through his campaign speech really rally behind WikiLeaks for his own advantage, his own personal use. And when it comes time for this man, when he's being arrested, now it's all played down like he doesn't know anything about it. That's like your best friend. Once it comes time for him to be arrested and you utilize his information to make yourself much more famous, and then you just bail on him, let him take the fall. What a shame. What a shame. Anyway, another issue going on right now over in Romania as we turn our attention over to the Middle East and the, of course, in the East Europe, Romania. The THAAD missile defense system is going to be deployed in Romania against Russian protests. The United States has determined to deploy the THAAD system. If you remember, China was not very happy about having this over in South Korea either, because China said that it was also being used as a spying device. They're able to reach deep into a country and spy on the country, events that are going on there. And I'm sure that that system will be used to spy on the situation on the ground inside of Ukraine. There again, though, don't forget, we realize too that Putin is also playing a part in the events that are happening in and around the world. It's not just that it's one pitted against the other, Russia against the United States, although they're trying to make it look this way. At the end of the day, they're going to make sure that both sides come out, well, let's put it this way. Eventually, Russia will probably play the part of Gog of Magog to go against Israel just to make it look good. But that's not what the scripture really says. Anyway, Libya's Caliph Haftar makes an unannounced visit to Moscow for consultations with Russian's defense ministry there. This, of course, being in the situation where there's already once again tensions and fighting in the nation of Libya there. Of course, the U.S. helped to unsettle this nation, topple this nation, and bring in all the little thugs there to fight against Gaddafi's forces there. And but now it is once again in turmoil. And now Mr. Haftar is reaching out to the Russians, hoping that they will come to his aid. And of course, that might just be part of the bigger picture. Don't really know exactly how that's going to play out. At any rate, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. By the way, we are uncovering even more evidence, unsettling evidence, about these Noahide laws and all the fabrications that are in behind the scenes. I can't wait for you guys to learn some of this new information there. It is troubling as we watch more and more Christian ministers taking a stand for these Noahide laws. And of course, we saw where they're saying now that the 7 Noahide laws are for the Gentiles because they were never supposed to keep the Sabbath or to keep the other commandments, the kosher laws, etc. That's kind of odd. Seems like Isaiah clearly says that stranger among you is to keep the Passover. Well, what do you know about that? There's a lot of other things, though, that they just make up as they go along. Well, that's typical of the Talmud. I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Thank you for watching our broadcast. We'll see you again tomorrow. Pick up some other things that are going on around the world. And we may even drop in a little special broadcast along the way. Shalom, shalom.